Hello, everybody. It is Dr. Jindai Stafford, and I am here to talk to you guys today about over-the-counter medication, specifically acetaminophen. So let me get a little drink real quick. I got my happy juice in tow. Mm, so good. But I want to talk to you guys. So a lot of people, if you followed me on social media or anything like that, I do advocate for trying um, like especially if you have been diagnosed with autoimmune or any issues, pain, anything like that, chronic pain, chronic inflammation, I definitely advocate for trying to adjust your food and doing dietary and supplement interventions prior to the use of medication. Now, some people get it twisted and they're like, oh my gosh, she really doesn't like medical doctors or she doesn't like the practice of medication. That is not true. Medical doctors in Western medicine are very, very good at acute care. But when it comes to long term dealing with chronic issues, we fall short in that area. Like, I mean, we just do. That's we just do. That's facts, right? And when it comes to medication, I do feel like a lot of doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, like I feel like they overprescribe. And so it's just, I'm always like, okay, let's try the least invasive, like the least chemical creating, false kind of thing that we can insert into your body. Let's try the more natural things. And then specifically more so, I got into holistic healing, herbalism, and homeopathy when I started doing work with the homeopathy action team here in the state of Virginia. And now I represent District 4 for the state of Virginia with helping to keep homeopathy alive and well in this country. And I also do some work on the side with the Institute for homeopathy and just doing some really great things. So, with all of that said, as I've done that, and people some of you guys may not know because you're seeing me for the first time, but I also have a certification as a pharmacy technician. So I have learned about medication over the years because it was also something I was interested in, not just for myself. When I, was having to take a lot of medication. At one point, I was taking over 30 pills a day because of chronic pain, chronic inflammation that was caused from autoimmune disease. And so I know what it did to me. I know what I've seen it do to my family members. And so that's why I'm really, really big on trying to do other practices first, unless it is absolutely necessary. Now, medicine absolutely has its place in health and wellness, but I don't think it should always be the go to. And so I have been reading this book from Tony Robbins called Life Force, and it is a beast of a book. Okay, guys, like no, some people be like, "Chad, you was reading that book last year," and was it's a big book. Like I'm on page 261 out of 600, almost 700 pages. Okay, so okay. But in the course of reading this book, I came across information that was just like, see, like I know I'm not crazy. And so I want to share that with you guys today. Um, there's a lot of people that I know pop Tylenol like candy. My husband used to be one of those people. Like he used to just like, I mean, 2,000 milligrams down the hatch, like it was nothing, just so he can like stave off the headache and keep doing his work for the day. And when I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, your liver, your kidneys, like your body is probably having a really hard time trying to process that. And in the midst of reading this book, chapter 11, just so happened to pop up. So I was like, well, look at there. So I just wanted to come on here and share this with you guys today. So I am starting on page 241, or excuse me, 243, and it's the chapter on living pain free. And so it's talking about the opioid pandemic, which we already know the negative effects that opioids have had, not only in this country, but just around the world. And it says that last year, according to the CDC, more than 150 million opioid prescriptions were filled in the United States alone. Okay. Over 150 million opioid prescriptions were filled. That's not the ones that were given out and nobody, like the person didn't go take them to get them filled. Over 150 million opioid prescriptions were filled in the United States last year. And that's when you break it down, that's 46 prescriptions for every 100 patients. 46 prescriptions for every 100 patient. That's kind of almost half. Like that's serious, right? But looking all that aside, because we know the effects that opioids have on our country, when we start talking about Tylenol, okay, Tylenol had a huge lawsuit against them, anyways, because of there being a link between mothers who took Tylenol during pregnancy and the children that were born with autism. So, and Tylenol has a lot of things going on with it, anyways. So just kind of look into it. But I'm gonna read this passage from this book again. So now I'm on page 244. And it says a tremendous marketing campaign has made Tylenol one of the most trusted brands for pain relief. But according to Dr. Erica Schwartz, author of the book Don't Let Your Doctor Kill You, each year acetaminophen overdose is responsible for 56,000 ER visits, 2,600 hospitalizations, and 458 deaths due to liver failure. In fact, just taking 1 or 2 pills above the recommended dosage for 2 weeks can be deadlier than if you tried to overdose. Shockingly, the leading cause for calls to poison control centers isn't kids accidentally ingesting cleaning supplies, it's accidental acetaminophen overdoses. Close to 50% of cases of acute liver failure in the United States, as well as 20% of liver transplant cases, can be traced to acetaminophen poisoning. So a lot of people think, oh my gosh, like, as I've done my own work and I've done my own research, and I want to implore you to like just really think about this. I've kind of thought it was wild that like you can go into a drugstore and literally aisles of medication and you just like have the power to sit there, read the box and be like, yeah, this is what I need to like self-treat pretty much, right? Like that's kind of been crazy. Like you don't need a doctor to tell you like, okay, you can go get I don't even know what's on the shelves. I'm gonna lie to you, like NyQuil or something like that. Right? Oh, you can't sleep? Yeah, go get like the fact that some people like take NyQuil just so they can go to sleep is that's wild. That's real wild to me. Um, but even something like so aspirin, right? So aspirin is one of those things that people are like, you want to prevent a stroke or heart attack, like take a baby aspirin. One, I know an individual now, we were having a conversation just yesterday about how they are taking aspirin. The doctor told them that they would take aspirin for the rest of their life because the individual has suffered from strokes in the past. Interestingly enough, here we are on page 245 of Life Force, and it says the practice of aspirin therapy, like that, again, it's talking about how it helps to lower cardiovascular disease risks, right? Well, in October of 2021, new research issued by the US Preventative Services Task Force overturned the recommendation of daily aspirin use, as recent evidence suggests that the risk for those over 60 outweigh the benefits and can actually cause harm, including bleeding in the stomach, intestines, and brain, which can be life threatening. Right? Kind of makes you go, hmm. And so, interestingly enough, I've talked about how medical doctors, and I know this for a fact because crazy, I have friends who are medical doctors, right? But they have talked about how they do not receive any nutrition training in medical school. And they did mention like maybe there was like a semester or half a semester, like a half credit class where they could learn about nutrition and things like that, but it wasn't required, right? Just like it's not required for them to really know anything about nutrition, even though that's what fuels the body, right? They don't have to know anything necessarily about over the counter medication as well. And I've said that before, and people look at me like I'm just like blasphemous. Right here again, page 245, it says in medical school, doctors in training don't learn much, if anything, about over the counter meds. After all, if you don't need a doctor to prescribe them in order to buy them, why should medical school instructors spend time educating future physicians on their effects? that makes sense, and then all at the same time it doesn't make sense, right? Um, and because of that, there is this false belief that over-the-counter medications are extremely safe. There's the belief that over-the-counter medications are much safer than anything prescribed. And the truth is that over-the-counter medications can be absolutely dangerous, and even more so than prescription drugs, because I think that people are like, oh, if I could go in the store and buy this myself, then yeah, I know it says don't take more than, two at a time. But I mean, if I can buy it myself, then it must be reasonably safe. And if I'm not feeling anything after two, even though it tells me wait 6 hours before I take another two, you know, it is what it is. And then a lot of people's um, excuses, I have a high tolerance. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I never was that person. When I was in the military, I was over here. One of the things they teach us in the fields, like when like that field training, if you will, it's like, okay, like you may be in pain, but things still have to happen. The weapon still has to be loaded. I was an aviation ordnance man. I was loading weapons, dealing with bombs, torpedoes, missiles, mines, rockets, things like that. And it's like things still have to get done. So guess what? Yeah, I had shoulder pain, but we still gotta hump this 500-pound bomb on this thing. So tag, you're it. And so I was actually told by a doctor in the military, because I can't prescribe, morphine or any kind of opioid because of the job I did. He was like, take Tylenol, take Motrin, mix it, pop it with some Coke, like not Coke, like Coca-Cola the drink, for the caffeine purposes, but it was the mixture of Tylenol, Motrin, and caffeine, and it gives a similar pain relief as morphine without the drowsiness. So when you have people, this is the information that was being shared, and so every time I had any kind of pain, I was probably taking, like, no exaggeration either, like 3,500 milligrams worth of Tylenol, probably in addition to probably 4,000 milligrams of Motrin, like a day, and chasing this with any kind of caffeine I could get, any energy drinks, sodas. So you're talking like Coke or Mountain Dew, things high, high, high in caffeine. And so I did that for months. And, I felt crappy, but I felt better because I didn't have that pain. So it's there, it's a fact. Please tell me what your thoughts are. I um I would love to hear what it is that you think about the whole over-the-counter medication usage. Like, is it something that we should have more strict regulations on, especially as we're sitting here in a time where the country is trying to get rid of homeopathy because they're trying to say it's illegal, because it's illegally marketed. So they're trying to get rid of homeopathy and make it illegal, which is crazy. But yet we have a plethora, several aisles of over-the-counter medication that can actually be more dangerous than helpful. You have people out here popping Tylenol like candy because they're in pain, they're building up tolerance, and it takes more to combat the pain. So they're not getting to the root cause of the pain. They're masking the pain by covering it up with taking the Tylenol or whatever they're taking for it that they can buy over the counter, and then destroying their organs in the process. So, what are your thoughts on that? Please share it with me. I would love to know. Make sure you share, like, and comment below on this video. And as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my other upcoming videos. Make sure if this is your first time here, hi, hello, welcome. Make sure you check out the things that I've posted in the past because they're also really interesting. And it's all here for all things mental, physical, just all around health and wellness. So please let me know what you think. Comment below. I would love to see your guys' thoughts on this. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.